Welcome back, tech enthusiasts. In today's video, we are going to explore the useradd command in depth. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced Linux user, understanding how to create new user accounts and the use of its different options are essential. So this will be a complete guide to useradd commands in Linux with 16 practical examples. So let's dive right into it. So, we all are aware of the most popular command called useradd in Linux. The useradd command is a powerful tool in Linux. This allows you to create new user accounts. There is another similar command for useradd. It is add user command. Add user command is just a symbolink or a symlink to useradd command in Linux. If you want to know more about symlinks, you can watch my previous video, Linux Essential from Beginners to Advanced, Part 2. Now when we run useradd command, it will make changes to some files. Now in Linux, the password related information for user accounts is stored in two different files. The first one is the passwd file and the other one is the shadow file. So let's discuss the difference between these two files. Alright. We have our terminal open and we are ready to go. So we will type ls space then l. So all these files are residing in etc. So we'll see the content of this etc directory. And we can grep for passwd file. And in the meantime, we'll grep for the shadow file as well. So you can see the passwd file is readable by all users and can only write to it by root or a user who has the super user privileges. Now if you go to the shadow file, only the root or a user in the shadow group can read the shadow file, but no one can write to it. Similarly, information related to the group is stored in the etc group and etc gshadow files. The gshadow file is the secure version of the group file. Now let's see the permissions set for the group and the gshadow file. Now similar to the passwd file, the group file is also readable by all users and can only write to it by the root or a user who has the super user privileges. The gshadow file is the secure version of the group file. So it is readable by the root and the group and can only be write to it by the root. Okay, we will discuss more of the information in these four files while moving ahead. Alright, let's start with the useradd command. Now it is used to create a new user account in Linux. Today we have 16 practical examples ready with us to showcase the power of the useradd command. So let's start with the basic syntax. We will clear the terminal. So these are the 16 different options with useradd command that we are going to discuss in this video. Now discussing the useradd command in depth would definitely make this video very lengthy. So I have decided to break this into two parts. So laying foundation on the useradd command would be the first part. So first part would have the commands from 1 to 6. So then we'll move into some advanced stuff. So we'll begin from the 7th, then move forward. So going forward, it will be more advanced. So stay tuned with us. So the first command is to how to add a new user in Linux. To add or create a new user, we can type useradd with the username. The username is a user login name that is used by a user to log in into the system. So if we type useradd, then it sec hub as the username, it will create a login for the ITSec Hub user. The username must be unique. That is, it should be different from other usernames that already exist on the system. Now, if you want to find out who are the available users in the system, you can get that information from the passwd file. So, if you type cat, then etc passwd, it will give you a list of users that are currently available in the system. Now we will clear the terminal. Now let's say we want to create a user called ITSec Hub. So we'll add useradd, then ITSec Hub. When we create the new user, the entry is automatically added to the passwd file which is in the etc directory, and also it updates the shadow file as well. So these files contains the user information. Now we already saw the permissions assigned to passwd file and the shadow file. The passwd file. All the users can read the file, but only root can write to the file. The shadow file. Root and the users in the shadow group can read the file, but no one can write explicitly to the file. So to run this command, you need to have the sudo privileges. What sudo means is super user do. It is short for the super user do. Now we will press enter to execute this command. So it is asking the password for the user. And there is no error, that means it's successfully executed. Now let's open another terminal. Now in this terminal we'll open the passwd file. So we'll say cat, then etc passwd, then grep for the ITSec Hub user. And in this terminal, we'll open the shadow file. The shadow file can be read only by the root. So we have to use the sudo. Then cat etc shadow, then grep for ITSec Hub. The passwd file contains user account information but does not store password directly. The shadow file securely stores the encrypted passwords along with the other password related settings. The format of the passwd file is generally as this. So this entry of the passwd file contains a set of 7 separated fields. So each field has its own meaning. So let's see what are these fields. The first field is the username. So in my file, the username is ITSec Hub. Now this is used to log in into the system. And the second is for the password. Here the password field is typically populated with an X. So this indicates that the password is stored in the shadow file rather than directly in the password file. By storing the password in a separate file with restricted access, it enhances the security of the user account information. The third field is the user ID, and it is a unique identification number assigned to the user at the creation of the user login. Similarly, another group identification number is also created, and it is the group ID. By default, user ID 0 is reserved for the root user, and user IDs ranging from 1 to 96 are reserved for other predefined accounts, and user IDs ranging from 100 to 999 are reserved for system accounts and groups. The next field or the fifth field is a blank field. It is an optional field and it allows you to define extra information about the user. For an example, the user's full name. So it can be stored there. To add details to this field, you can use the C option with the useradd command. Then the path to the user's home directory, and then the default shell path. So this is the shell assigned to the user by default. Now the shadow file, it has 9 fields separated by colons. Here the password field should contain the encrypted password. The other fields in the shadow file represent various settings related to the password expiration. So the first field is the username and the second one is the password. Now if you have not set the password for the user login, it will display an exclamation mark. Otherwise, if the password is set to the user login, it will display an encrypted password. Now for the ITsec Hub user, we have not set the password. So here it is with the exclamation mark. Later we'll assign the password and see what will happen to the password field. Now the third field is the last date that the password was changed. Now it is the number of days since the January 1st, 1970 to the last password change date. Now early Unix engineers picked January 1st, 1970 arbitrarily because they needed to set a uniform date. And the start of time and the New Year's Day in 1970 seems the most convenient one. So the number of days are calculated from 1st January 1970 to the last date that the password was changed. Then the next field is the minimum age of the password. The minimum number of days required between password changes. So an empty field or a 0, like in this example, mean that there are no minimum password age. Then the next field is the maximum age of the password. The maximum number of days the password is valid is displayed here. The next field is the warn days. That is the number of days before the password is to expire that the user is warned. So in this example, the next two fields are empty and they refers to the inactive and the expiry date. So inactive means the number of days after the password expires that the account is disabled. So within this period the account is active and once it is over the accounts get inactive. The expiry date is the date of the expiration of the account. So this is also expressed as the number of days since the 1st January 1970. Now we will go back to the terminal. Now the user ITsec Hub is created. Now we can use the switch user command or the su command to log into the newly created user. And we'll type su minus then ITsec Hub. Now this is asking for the password and we have not assigned a password for this. Now if we type the root password, it will not work. So when we add a new user in Linux with the useradd command, it gets created in a locked state. To unlock it, we need to set a password for that account with the passwd command. So we'll type passwd then the ITsec Hub. Now in order to work this, you should have the sudo privileges as this will update the passwd file as well as the shadow file. Now in the shadow file, you don't see the encrypted password here. So we'll type sudo. So it is asking for the new password. We'll type the password and the confirmation of the password as well. Now the password is updated. So we'll analyze the shadow file. Now you can see the password field contains an encrypted password. Now here the home directory for the particular user is given in this field. So we'll see whether we have the home directory in the specified path. Now we'll type pwd to get the current working directory's path. Now we are in the home directory for the Kali user. We use cd double dot to go to the previous folder. Right now we are in the home directory. We'll ls for the content. And it has only the home directory created for the user Kali. Now in most Linux distributions, when you use the useradd command without any option, it will create a user account with the default home directory like we did earlier. But here I am using Kali Linux. With Kali Linux, it is a specialized distribution focused on penetration testing and security auditing. So it has a different default behavior for the useradd command. So the users often work with predefined environments and tools. So they may not require personal home directory. But if you need a home directory for a user in Kali Linux, you can explicitly specify it with an option. So our next command is that. So the next command is to create a user with the home directory. That's the option number 2. So we will clear the terminal and type useradd. Of course you have to use the sudo command. Then minus simple m and the username. So we'll type tech. Now if we ls for the content, you can see the home directory is created. And of course we can give the password using the passwd command. And you have to always use the sudo command. If we analyze the shadow file again, for the tech user, you can see a different encrypted password is assigned. Now the location of the home directory may vary depending on the distribution, but it is typically created under the /home. Now there are some situations where we don't want to assign a home directory for a user. Now this may be due to security reasons. When such a user uses the su command, its login directory will be previous user's home directory. So a third command is adding a user without the home directory. When such a user uses the su command, its login directory will be the previous user's home directory. Now to create users without their home directories, we can use useradd command with capital N. So the username we can give as tech home. Now we should have the sudo. Now let's see the content. Now you can see the tech home directory is not created. Now we will log in as the previous user. So that is tech. So we'll use the su command, then tech. Now you can see our login was successful and we can use pwd command to list the current working directory. The current working directory is the home directory for the user tech. So we are inside it. Now we'll log into the newly created user, that is tech home. So the tech home user does not have a home directory. So we'll type su then minus tech home. And we could assign a password for the tech home user. Now with this terminal, we'll assign a password for the tech home user. So we'll type passwd tech home. And you should have the sudo in front of this. Okay, done. Now we'll again switch to the tech home user. I reopen the terminal as it was stuck. Now we'll try to switch to the newly created tech home user. So it is asking for the password. Now it gave us a warning, cannot change directory to home tech home. No such file or directory. That is, when we create the tech home user, it did not create the home directory for it. So we are unable to log in. So that is how we use capital M option to create a user without the home directory. Now all this time the home directory for the user was created in the default location. Now if we want to change this default location and create the user's home directory in a specified location, we can do it using the -d option. So our fourth command is to create a user with a different home directory. Now we will clear the terminal. Now the command for this is sudo useradd, then with -d option you can specify the path for the home directory. So we'll put it as data, then projects. So this data directory is inside the root directory. And the username, so we'll type it as IT Tech. So the username is IT Tech, and the home directory for this user should be created under the projects directory inside the data directory. So we use the -d option to change the default path for the home directory. So we'll execute this. Now let's go to the previous directory, pwd, to analyze the path. So we are inside the home. We will ls for the content. So the home directory for the user IT Tech is not created inside the default location. Now the path we specified is the projects under the data directory. So we'll look at the content for the data projects. Unfortunately, we forgot to use the -m option, so the home directory was not created as we are using the Kali Linux distribution. Now we'll try to remove this user. So to remove the user, we can type sudo, then the userdel command, and type the username, that is IT Tech. Now the home directory is created for the IT Tech. Then we should use the option -r. Since it is not created, we can directly use the userdel command without any option. Now we can cat for the passwd file, and we can see that the IT Tech user is not more there. Now we will create it again. So we will type sudo, then the useradd command with -m to create the home directory for the user, and the -d to specify the path for the home directory. Then the home directory's name, and the user. So this will create a home directory as IT Tech inside the projects directory under data directory using the -d and the -m options. Now let's ls for the content at the default location, and you cannot see the home directory created in the default location. Now we'll try to ls data, then projects. So the home directory for the IT Tech user is created inside this path. If we analyze the passwd file, you can see the path for the home directory is this. Now we can use the passwd command to assign the password for the newly created user. Sudo in front of the command. Now let's say we want to change the home directory for an already created user. So in such cases, we cannot use the useradd command. Instead, we can use usermod command. It is short for the user modification. So our next command is to add a home directory to an existing user. Now we have created 4 users already. So now let's say we want to change the directory path or the directory location of the IT tech user. So we can use sudo usermod, then -m -d, and we are giving the default location for the home directory, and it is IT tech, and the username is also IT tech. So this means we are changing the home directory of the user IT tech from its current location to the newly specified path. So we'll ls for the content. Now you can see the home directory is created inside the /home, and we'll cat for the passwd file. Before going into the next command, we'll clear the terminal. So our next command is to assign the password directly. So far we assign the password separate after creating the user. When we are creating the user, we can directly assign the password as well. So now we are on the 6th option. So the command is sudo, then useradd. You can specify -p, then you have to give the password. We'll type the password as ABCD. So once this is given, it is encrypted and passed to the shadow file as well, and the username. So the username would be John. Now this will create a user called John with the password ABCD, and the password will be kept in the shadow file. Now with this P option, you can combinedly use -m if you want to create the home directory, and you can also give the D option to specify the home directory's path. Now let's cat for the passwd file. Now you can see the user John is created and its home directory is in the default location. And if we analyze the shadow file, so you can see the password is visible to all and it's not encrypted. So if you are using the -p option with the useradd command to assign the password, you need to give a hashed password. To generate the hash password, you can use the OpenSSL command. So always recommended steps would be to create the user account first, then assign the password using the passwd command separately. So we have covered the points from 1 to 6. So let me wind up the first part of this video here. I am sure that you've got a good understanding on the useradd command, and we'll move into more advanced features of this command in the next part of this video. So it'll be from point 7 to 16. Stay tuned with ITSec Hub. Feel free to explore the useradd command further and discover its full potential. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy Linuxing!